judging each other won't solve anything.
No.
It's like compassion is really key in here, because
Yes.
when does it ever help to judge someone? What is lost in our society is conversation. You can see out there is no longer a conversation. It's not an exchange of perspective. It's a debate all the time. We are so different and yet freakishly the same. Yeah. So do you know what does it mean? So I noticed your hair are shorter.
Yeah. Yeah.
And do you know what it means when a woman changes, especially a woman, but also what does it mean? You know?
No, I have no idea.
It means they're up for change. They're ready to change.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes.
So I'm very excited to be back. I was looking forward to it. So I had a conversation with someone, and so on my end, I was feeling like, so expand was something that was coming to me. Like I felt like I'm a bit. I feel like I've seen everything I needed to see in this space now, and to expand it and discover new stuff. So, and whatever that is, so it can be a new learning, it can be a new skill, it can be anything. So, and I know that now I'm in a culminating point. Did I say it right?
Yeah. Culminating point.
Yeah. In my life, where I'm letting go of my past. I mean, it's still my past, still my story. I'm not rejecting it. That's the difference of what we tend to do. We tend to reject it because we don't want it anymore. But I don't reject it. I cherish it, actually. But I just want to be defined by it, because those are only my circumstances. They are not me. And now I want to detach from these circumstances, because for a long time they were me. That for me they were me. And now I'm realizing that no, they are just my circumstances. They are just my stories, but they are not me. And so I'm detaching from it, and I kind of hit a bump here, like, oh, I'm good because I'm getting something new. My body is telling me that too, trying to send me hints, which is sometimes hard to find what it means. But yeah, it's fun to investigate. So I'm in these points where I'm cutting the cords that still identify myself as those events, and I really try to fly on my own. I'm doing that. I'm flying more and more on my own, and I'm welcoming this new canvas. I mean, it's been always there. It's always a new blank canvas there in front of us. But the thing is that we don't always either realize it or accept it. And so I'm both now. I realize that, and I accept that, and I actually can't wait to draw my new stories on that, my new circumstances, which won't define me. I don't want that to be a new definition of myself. I want to be this free electron, that move into my stories, but not being stuck in them. So, and it's very a lot of fun. So but not always. And that's part of the deal. I accept that. So here am I. My flame is back up. My fire is on.
Good. Well, I could tell that yesterday when we were talking on the phone, because it was, or when we were texting back and forth. I could tell your fire was back. So I was like, okay, all right, good. Yeah, and yesterday was a good day for me too. So, but I love what you said about circumstances, because circumstances has been something that I have dealt with for a long time. And we both have. You talked about your past, and I've talked about my past. We've talked about all of that a lot. And, the thing that really comes back to me, and then again, this is from my perspective, as a Bible believer, it's like the whole thing is, sometimes, and this is what I came to, it's like, sometimes God changes the circumstances and sometimes he changes you. And, it's a similar experience to what you're describing, because, I think a lot of times we try to push something, we try to make something happen, we try to keep going forward, in a way that we want to. And it's either not the right time, it's either not the right circumstances, but we're trying too hard, and it's like you have to step back. And I think that's where a lot of the patience comes in for me, because it's just like, just wait and just be still and just wait, and I love it that you said yes and breathe. Yeah. And just, and I think for both of us, a lot of it has been, focusing on yourself and focusing on personal growth, because I think, especially for us right now, what we're trying to do in our practices and in the world, I think is so important. It's so vital. And it's the drive for both of us to show up in the world in this specific way. And I think it's great that you're feeling that too, and that you're feeling ready to step out. And I think as we kind of lean into that and grow in that, I think the whole world is going to open up so much more.
I love it. And something also that, because it can be tricky also to be centering on ourselves, to try to find out, to grow, to expand ourselves. It's a very good thing, but I think one thing that we need to keep in mind always is everything around us has nothing to do with us, but in the meantime, it also has everything to do with us, since we are creating this vision, this perspective of ours, our unique way of seeing and interpreting what we feel and what we see, what we perceive with our senses, all of them. So therefore it has everything to do with it. And that's this point that we need to figure out, how do I perceive the world? And does it help me? Is it serving me or not? Yeah. And while I do that, is this helping people all around me, or am I interfering with them? So I had this vision this weekend. I'm trying to say it here. Try to put that into a picture. It's like, so imagine life is like this huge, beautiful tree, and each of us are a fruit in that tree. So a fruit is the way it's our lives. This is the way we are. We evolve in that tree. We are all together and connected one with another.
Yeah.
And the fruit that we are, it's our little world. We can be sour, we can be tasty, we can be sweet, we can be delicious, we can be horrible, disgusting. It doesn't really matter, as long as we respect each other's fruits, worlds, and we accept that we are different. And well, I like the way I see us as coaches is that it's like having a little window, or a bigger window even sometimes, and that we get to see around what's going on around our world, and then we get to see, we have those windows really, we can see. It is up to us to see what's going on to others without judging. Just, oh, how is your world there? And that's what we do. Like our conversation is about that. How is your world out up there? And you know, up or down, whatever. There's no position. There is no hierarchy there. It's a tree. No. And and I think that this vision really captures how I see life. We're all fruits, we're all the same, but yeah, we're very so different from each other because everything is different also. Yeah, and so we can help fruits to grow in a certain way. It's like, oh, you need to get more of this juice from the tree if you want to do that, but that's not our place to say what they should do, because what do we know what they want to be? Like if they want to be delicious or not, they don't have to be. Not everybody has to be delicious. It's fine, but just don't mold the other fruits. Don't break the other fruit. That's the only deal.
That's what this whole conversation is about. It's about being individually who we are as individuals, but coming together as friends, as colleagues, as partners, as as people that are working towards a common vision and a common goal. And I think that's the whole point. Is I'm not, we are very different. We have a lot in common, and that's wonderful, and it's exciting, and we have a lot of differences, and I love it that you're not trying to push me to do anything, and I'm certainly not trying to push you to do anything.
No, yeah.
And that's the beauty of the conversation, is that we're just trying to exchange perspectives, and that's what I really hope that we can get through to people who come in and watch our conversation, because it is about an exchange of perspective. It is about an exchange of ideas. It is about accepting where the other person is and not forcing, not pushing. But really just, doing what we do as coaches is active listening and just really engaging. And that's what this conversation is about. And I want to tack on to what you said about the tree and fruit, because I have been, your wording would be out of balance. And that's definitely a part of the equation. And the other side of it for me has to do with my spirituality. But for me, we are expected to, as someone who has a relationship with God, and it's really a relational thing. He's saying you're invited. If this is something that you want, if this is something that you want to explore, you're invited to this relationship. And if you have this, then you can have these things. And so, there's a thing in scripture called the fruits of the spirit, and you're supposed to walk in love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, gentleness, self-control, and all these other things. So if I'm not cultivating that, but guess whose job it is to cultivate that? It's mine. It's mine. And so, you can have this faith in God, and you can also have this drive and this conviction and this responsibility to show up as yourself fully and to cultivate that for yourself. And so it's not an incongruent state. So if people hear us say, you have to have faith in yourself and faith in God, some people might bristle at that a little bit. It's not that. You can have both. You can have both.
It's better even to have both.
it's better to have both, because it's not
or at least for ourselves, like
it's balanced, because if you're not, because for me, it's God is a priority in my life, obviously. But I've talked about this before. If I'm not taking care of myself and I'm not doing the things that I know that I need to do, then I can't show up fully for myself or fully for anybody else. And so there's an order to things. And so if I'm going to have relationships in my life that work, then it has to be in this order, and I have to show up in this way. And so it was really kind of a wake up call in a way, to get back into that zone, and then let things unfold from there, let things expand from there. And so, and that's where I'm heading now, but it feels really good to be in that place. And I'm glad to see that you're in a similar place, because that's what I was hoping for.
Yeah, but I get that. Like most of us, we grow up with even the idea of being ourselves is like, go with dare, like need to dare to be yourself. What's wrong with that one?
Yeah. Yeah.
How, what is it?
Yeah.
No, like dare not to be yourself. Dare not to be yourself. That makes more sense. Why should I dare to be myself? That really highlights how this society is built, how it's built. It's not built upon well-being.
Yeah.
It's a, this is society.
Yes.
And we can see this in they're good at that. They did a beautiful job on that one. So now it's time to reverse that.
Oh, that's a good segue to talking about, disease and disease in society, because I think a lot of people are going to come to the conversation, and they're going to see the intro, and they're going to kind of see that we're health coaches and see the things that we're talking about, and we're really starting out in the area of primary food, and and so people may not have an understanding of what that is, because we are IIN health coaches. So, just to unpack that a little bit for you guys, secondary food and primary food are two terms that we use as health coaches. And so when we use these terms, what we mean by secondary food is the food that you eat on your plate, the food that you take in. And there's another concept.
Physically your body.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So what physically nourishes the cells and the organs and your body systems, all of you. And then there is this category called primary food. And the concept here is that it's not just the things that you consume nutritionally that are feeding you and giving you your body nourishment, but it's all of these other things. And there's 9 different ones. And we would add a 10th as well, but it's, joy, relationships, your career, your finances, all of these different things. And so we really want to bring that to this show, and to not just this show, but to each other, and nourish that with each other. And really, it's about openness and vulnerability and honesty. And, again, just to say it, my intention is to show up fully as myself, not to hold back, to be 100% truthful, to be 100% present, 100% open, honest, and vulnerable, and hold nothing back. That's my intention with you in our friendship. And then also bringing that to the show so that everyone can see, how to do this. Because, I think one of the things that you mentioned in our first episode that is so lost is this ability to have an open and honest conversation. And we want to do that. And so we're kind of centering this around, this concept of primary and secondary food. So we're going to dive deep on some of those things. And, eventually we'll get into some nutrition, but we're just kind of going with the flow as to, where we are right now in our lives, individually and as friends, and, and the things that we're pursuing in our careers and our
important
big vision
to us. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
It's like, showing up for as we are, it gets hard because of self-confidence is not quite there yet. And a whole bunch of the disease or anything really, the discomforts, out of balance, it comes down to not being fully ourselves. Like, we are afraid of judgments. Like, most of the time you hear people not saying what they feel, because they're afraid they'll be judged, or they're afraid it's going to be held against them. And that's not, this is not a safe place. If you can't do that, get out of this. Get away from those people. If you can't say what you feel right now, like, I mean, you can say whatever you want with me. If I'm upset, that's my business. That's not yours. And I'm responsible for how I want to take things. And sometimes my energy or my mood, whatever, it's out of whack, or it's different. Sometimes I can accept it with ease, and sometimes less ease. But that's okay. It doesn't mean that I would hold you for that, because maybe one day you're out of balance and you tell me something, when we speak with our emotions, we can be mean sometimes, and I wouldn't care. as much. Maybe on the moments, of course, I'm human. Maybe on the moments I will be like, what the
Yeah,
you know,
sure.
but then I'll come back to it and they're like, oh, she must have been out of balance that day. That's probably not how she feels about me, because I know you. But even so, even if someone says something about, bad about me, that really is not my problem. I feel bad for that person to feel that way. It means to me that there's out of balance somewhere, but I actually want to help. Hey, maybe I can help you rebalance that. Like,
Yeah.
Can we talk about that?
Yeah.
For me, those people need support, because I know when I'm like that, I need support. I need love. I need compassion. And I need my space to be respected. And sometimes we just don't have that. So we have that in our heads, and at least, and that's good. But yeah, judging each other won't solve anything.
No.
It's like compassion is really key in here, because
Yes.
when does it ever help to judge someone? What does it mean? It means your perspective is better than others. This is what it means, judging. So
yes,
like, get a hold of yourself. Like, no, you can offer your perspective, but don't force it with your judgments, and don't condemn, don't put someone down because it's out of balance.
Well, thank you everybody for joining us for the conversation today. We're glad to have you for another episode. We invite you to come back and share your thoughts, share your perspective. We just ask that if you do, that you sprinkle it with some compassion. You want to do that part?
Yeah.
So we invite you to come on and share your perspective. We just ask that be respectful of each other. We are not trying to win an argument. We're not trying to have an argument. If it gets into argument, then you're missing the point, So it's an exchange of perspective. And so be respectful, be loving, be compassionate with each other. But we would love to hear from you. If there's a topic that you would like us to cover, if there's questions that you'd like to ask, if you'd like to, make a comment about the show, we'd love to hear from you. Just check out the details below. You can find us on the link for Facebook, and we would love for you to join us for the conversation.